Welcome to Swoop Podcast, and here are your hosts, Dante Fantuzzi and Josh Sanchez.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Swoop Radio here. I'm your host for today, Josh Sanchez, and we got a lot of topics to talk about today, starting with the NFL. So let's get started. I hope everyone's having a great day, a great Thursday. We got the weekend coming up. Got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hope everyone had a good Halloween last week. So now it's time for Swoop Radio to get started. With our first topic, we're going to talk about the Week 9 standouts and a little Week 9 recap. Because we have had a lot of upsets, or not upsets, but a lot of like statement games that were set last week. And for those who do not know, there's a poll on Twitter right now on Cavalier Radio 89.1. The poll says, who had the biggest Week 9 win in the NFL? The options are the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Redskins. I'm going to touch up on as many teams as I can on this first segment. But if you get the chance to while you're listening, feel free to comment on the post and as well as participate in the poll. So you got a whole day to participate. But anyway, let's get on to the topic. We start off Week 9 with the Buffalo Bills that were 5-2 riding high. They come into New York and just look completely flat. The Jets dominated the game from start to finish, and the New York Jets won 34-21, and now Buffalo is starting to look like that 8-8 prediction that I predicted in the beginning of the season. They were riding high, 5-2, impressing a lot of people. But then now they just took 2 steps back and are now 5-3 now. You have the Colts beating the Deshaun Watson-less Texans 20-14 like expected. The Jaguars had a very impressive win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And for those who did not see the fight between A.J. Green and Jalen Ramsey, check it out. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on YouTube. It's all over social media. Both players did not get suspended, however. Mike Evans from the Buccaneers, we'll get to that later, he got suspended. So it's a little, I'm questioning that policy, because how come you're going to suspend Mike Evans but not Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Green for their performance, where especially A.J. Green, where he put Jalen Ramsey in a headlock. But the Jaguars were in control from start to finish, 23-7. Their defense dominated like they usually do. And that's just another statement win for Jacksonville, a win that they really needed, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, their season has been up and down. They win against the Steelers in Pittsburgh, but then lose to the Jets. So that's a great statement win for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Moving on, we have the New Orleans Saints. After starting the season out 0-2, have now won 6 straight, and they just completely debacled the Buccaneers from start to finish, just like how the Jaguars did it to the Bengals. 30-10, the Saints win. Their defense is young. They have, I believe, one of the youngest defenses. My fault. I was just trying to think of the word that was in my head. But they have Marshawn Lattimore. They have other key pieces on that defense that they added in the draft. And now their defense looks like a brand new defense, to the point where Mike Evans got in a fight with one of their defensive players all over Deshaun because of Jameis Winston, my fault, because of Jameis Winston instigating with the defender. But now Mike Evans will be suspended next week for the Buccaneers, and their season continues to go south. Next, you have the Los Angeles Rams. Coming into the season, no one thought that the Los Angeles Rams were going to be good. Not this good. 51-17 against the New York Giants. Their offense is leading the NFL in points per game, and they also have the youngest coach in the NFL. Jared Goff is starting to look like that number 1 overall pick. And mark your calendars, when the Eagles play the Rams, that's going to be a very interesting game. Now, coming into the season, a lot like you would think Eagles-Rams, like that game's not really going to be that important. But now, as the season progresses, and the Rams leading the league in offense and most points scored, the Los Angeles Rams and Eagles, it might be a primetime game. So mark your calendars for that one. The Panthers finally beat the Atlanta Falcons, 20-17. Cam Newton said that they needed a big win, but his post-game press conference, when he talked about our team is like the Titanic, it has to keep going. For those who did not watch, who did not listen to that video, check it out. It's probably one of the most funniest responses in NFL history. Everyone knows that the Titanic sunk, and Cam Newton saying that the Titanic needs to keep on rolling. Just check it out. It's something funny to watch. But the next game we're going to move on is the Philadelphia Eagles just completely destroyed the Denver Broncos, and that's supposed to be number 1 ranked defense in the NFL. They put up 51 points against the number 1 defense. If that's not a statement, then I don't know what is. And currently on the poll, the Eagles lead out of those 4 teams at 57% as the biggest win of the week. But moving on, we have the Washington Redskins taking a trip to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks with a depleted line. They had backups in, backup wide receivers. Their whole team is banged up on offense and defense, but they come into Seattle and they win. They did not just play a close game, they won. Kirk Cousins made the throws when it mattered most, and the Redskins helped out the Eagles a lot for that number 1 seed, in my opinion, because now when the Eagles and Seahawks play head-to-head, if the Eagles only have 1 loss and they lose to Seattle, they'll still be ahead of Seattle for that number 1 seed. So thank you, Redskins, for that win. That was a big statement win. And for my Redskins fans listening, you got to pay Kirk Cousins. And here's why. Kirk Cousins has shown that he can be a good, solid quarterback in the league. And we all know how the NFL is. You need to have a good, solid quarterback to make a statement in the league and to win. And Kirk Cousins made the key throws when it mattered against a very tough Seattle defense. Yes, he was getting banged up all game. Yes, he wasn't hitting his throws all game. But when it mattered most, Kirk Cousins showed up. And if that doesn't convince Redskins fans and the ownership to sign him and give him a good deal, then I don't know what is going to give him a good deal. Because franchise tagging a quarterback not once but twice, that's all you're going to do is just make the quarterback even more frustrated, and he's going to want out of Washington. But anyway, big statement win for the Redskins. And to wrap up our Week 9 statement wins, the Dallas Cowboys just defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. The game was in Dallas. And if it wasn't for that Tyreek Hail Mary play, the Cowboys defense dominated the Kansas City Chiefs the whole game. The score may have been 28-17, but the score should have been a lot less. Kansas City looked flat from the beginning. Kareem Hunt had less than 100 yards. They held Kareem Hunt in check. Travis Kelce didn't break out. Tyreek Hill only had that one big catch. The Dallas defense is starting to look really good, and their pass rush is starting to get there. DeMarcus Lawrence has been really good. But, again, it all comes down to Ezekiel Elliott. And 2 o'clock Eastern time, we will find out if Ezekiel Elliott will be suspended. But as an NFL fan, the Dallas Cowboys are a playoff team. They are a wild card team, but they're not really up there with the Eagles and how the Rams and other teams are playing this season. The Dallas Cowboys are a good team, a good solid team, and their defense has been stepping it up lately. But how long can this defense keep it up? How long can they continue to make pass rush? How long can they continue to hit the quarterback, sack the quarterback? I just think that as the season progresses, they're going to start cooling down. And we've seen Aaron Rodgers come into Dallas and dominate. We saw Jared Goff come into Dallas and dominate. So elite offenses, when they come in, they usually dominate. Yes, I get that the Kansas City Chiefs are an elite offense, but they're a run-first offense. You take away the run from Kansas City, their offense gets neutralized. We saw that with Pittsburgh earlier this season. Pittsburgh was able to do a zone blitz, and they were able to stack the box and stop the run. And then you put the pressure on Alex Smith to make the throws. Alex Smith has shown that he can do it this season, but we saw against Dallas and Pittsburgh that that's not the case. But that's just something to look at. So again, check out that Twitter poll on Cavalier Radio 89.1. Vote Eagles, Cowboys, Rams, Redskins. If I had a chance to vote for more, if I had a chance to add more teams, I would have added the Saints. I would have also added the Jaguars, but you can only fit 4 teams into a poll. So I apologize to my audience for that one. But again, the biggest standouts of Week 9, the top 4 has to go Eagles because of their dominant win against the Denver Broncos in that number 1 defense. The Cowboys beating up a great Kansas City Chiefs team. They're a good, solid playoff team in the AFC. And that team's also beaten the Eagles and the Patriots earlier in the season. But I'm going to get to the Kansas City Chiefs in my next topic, and it's going to be interesting what you guys think about it. And then the Washington Redskins and the Los Angeles Rams have, again, big statement wins, and it's just great football right now. We're seeing a lot of young quarterbacks step up. The past decade, it's always been Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and others, but now we're seeing the young guys, Watson before he's injured, Russell Wilson, we saw what he did a couple weeks ago. We have Carson Wentz and his MVP candidate right now. We see Dak Prescott balling. Like, the NFL's in a great spot right now with talent, especially in the quarterback position. But we're going to take a quick break. That wraps up Swoop Radio's first topic, the Week 9 recaps. We're going to get on to Week 10 and the NFL predictions moving forward. So we're going to listen to Magnolia by Playboi Carti, and I hope you guys enjoy the music. My apologies for reading that. It was a little mess up in grammar, but now we're moving on to Week 10 and a weekly NFL predictions. For those who missed the last topic, I talked about Week 9 and who were the biggest standouts. But now we're going to move on to the highly anticipated Week 10. The Eagles do have a bye week, so all my Eagles fans listening, we got to sit back and relax and watch the other games play out. Starting with tonight, you have the Seattle Seahawks taking a trip to Arizona. Whenever those two teams play, it's always a slugfest, defensive battle. But I think Seattle's going to come back and make a statement after that loss to the Washington Redskins. Next, you have the Green Bay Packers taking a trip to Soldier Field in Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. I got the Bears winning this one. The Green Bay Packers do not look like the same team without Aaron Rodgers. They look flat on offense, and the Bears' defense has been one of the best in the NFL. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns taking a trip to Detroit to play the Detroit Lions. I have, again, if you have your opinions, you can feel free to call. There's a number on the website, but I'm going to keep moving on to Week 10. I have the Detroit Lions beating the Browns in this one. The Browns might honestly go 0-16 this year. It's tough to be a Cleveland Browns fan right now. Next, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking a trip to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Easy one. I got the Steelers winning this one, especially now that the Colts owner, Jim Irsay, said that Andrew Luck needs to get out of Indianapolis. I don't know why you say that to your franchise quarterback, but Jim Irsay needs to go. The Colts are all miscombobulated right now. I think the Steelers come in and just win dominantly. Next, you have the Los Angeles Chargers taking a trip to Jacksonville to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is going to be a very tight game. The Chargers always keep it tough, but I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. I think that they're hot right now. They just shut down the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're going to do the same to the Chargers. Next, you have the New Orleans Saints taking a trip to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. I have the Buffalo Bills taking this one. I think the Saints, their defense is really good at home, but on the road they have struggled. And Buffalo's coming off of a big loss to the Jets. I think Buffalo bounces back and runs on the Saints defense. Next, you have the New York Jets taking a trip to Tampa Bay to take on the depleted Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the New York Jets in this one. I think this team has been a surprise in the NFL. One of the biggest surprises in the NFL. And the Buccaneers, they don't have Jameis Winston. Mike Evans is going to be suspended. Their team looks depleted. We have their leader, Jameis Winston, eating W's when that was probably one of the dumbest pregame hype-ups ever in NFL history. For those who have not watched that video, again, it's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Jameis Winston literally has his hand shaped like a W, and he's like, we got to eat a W this week. And that pregame speech did not work out at all because they got destroyed from the beginning of the game. But anyway, I'm going to go with the Jets over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings taking a trip to Washington to take on the Washington Redskins. I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one. I think their defense is going to make a statement. Yes, Washington just defeated the Seattle Seahawks, but the Minnesota Vikings, their defense is something special. We've seen the Seattle Seahawks defense get beat many times this season, especially when Deshaun Watson went in there 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking a trip to Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Titans. The Bengals, it's time for a rebuild. It's time for Andy Dalton to go. It's time for Marvin Lewis to go. The Tennessee Titans are going to win this game. The Bengals, they just look depleted. It's time for an end. It's time for a change in Cincinnati. It's been too long of a ride for Marvin Lewis, not winning a playoff game. Dalton is a decent quarterback. He's good. He'll get you to the playoffs, if that, but will he win you a playoff game? Probably not. We've seen it in the past. It's time for a change in Cincinnati. All my Bengals fans, feel free to voice your opinions. The number is on WYBF.com in the corner. Feel free to voice your opinions. Next, we have the Houston Texans without Deshaun Watson taking the trip to Los Angeles to take on the LA Rams. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams in this one. Their offense is hot right now. That Houston defense has not proven anything to me. And the fact that they won't sign Colin Kaepernick is really concerning to me because Tom Savage and the other two quarterbacks that the Texans have a combined career touchdown passes. Like, they have a combined 17 career touchdown passes in their career. Colin Kaepernick has 17. So those three quarterbacks combined have as many touchdowns as Colin Kaepernick has in his career. That's saying something. The fact that they won't sign him and they need a mobile quarterback to run their offense just shows that they just don't want to deal with the protests and stuff like that. But anyway, moving on. Next, we have the America's Game of the Week. Like always, the Dallas Cowboys take a trip to the Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons in this one. I think their defense, they're young, and they can match speed-wise with Ezekiel Elliott, and they'll find a way to contain Ezekiel Elliott. And I think the Atlanta offense is going to start hitting their high strides this week. We saw them click on all cylinders against the Packers, so we're going to see them click on all cylinders against Dallas. I do not believe in Dallas's defense. They have proven me wrong, especially last week, but they got to continue to play like this. I don't see that happening. Next, we have the New York Giants taking a trip to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Both teams, their seasons are over. I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one. They're not going to go 0-16. I think the Giants right now, they're beating on all cylinders right now. Their coach is even, I don't even know what planet he's on. You got to look at his post-game press conference when he was just completely didn't answer a reporter's question. The reporter said, "What did you say in halftime?" And the guy just goes speechless. The coach, Ben McAdoo, goes speechless and just says, Like, everything about the Giants right now, it's just rebuild mode for the season, get a high draft pick and get ready for next season. I think the 49ers are going to win this game, get that first win of the season. To wrap up the Sunday games, 8:30 p.m. showdown, the New England Patriots take a trip to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with New England on this one. Denver's defense looked awful against the Eagles, and their offense has always been awful this whole season. Brock Osweiler hasn't gotten the job done. Trevor Siemian's been awful. Again, I just believe more turnovers are going to happen, and I think the Patriots are going to blow out the Broncos. Sunday Night Football has not been that good this year for all my fans watching this, for all my viewers watching this. Sunday Night Football has been a complete downgrade this year compared to last year. And to wrap up Week 10's games, the Miami Dolphins take a trip to Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Dolphins, they look okay, but I'm going to go with Carolina in this one. I think Carolina being at home and their defense has been the best in football now. I think the Carolina defense is going to shut down Miami, and the Panthers are going to win Week 10. So that wraps up Swoop's Week 10 NFL predictions. If you agree, disagree, my Twitter is at SANN_CHEZZZ. That is Sanchez on Twitter. And on Instagram, it's the same thing, but with 2 Z's. Feel free to DM me, comment, talk to me about anything. If you agree, you would disagree, just let me know. But we're going to get back to the music. Our next topic, we're going to take a quick shift to college football and the college football power rankings and everything that went down last week in college football. So again, we're going to take a break and enjoy the music. And we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed Rockstar by Post Malone and those little show promos, stuff like that. But anyway, we're going to move on to our next topic. We're going to move on to the college football playoff rankings. And based off of what we saw last week with Ohio State losing and Penn State losing, the Big Ten might not have a team in the college football playoff now. But anyway, I'm going to get to that in a little bit later. But right now, we're going to talk about the rankings and what went down. The playoff rankings just made their Week 11 playoff rankings this week, this Tuesday. That's what they do every Tuesday. Starting with number 1, Georgia, number 2, Alabama, number 3, Notre Dame, number 4, Clemson, number 5, Oklahoma, 6, TCU, 7, Miami, 8, Wisconsin, 9, Washington, 10, Auburn. Penn State and Ohio State fell 7 spots each. Ohio State is now ranked 13th, and Penn State is now ranked 14th. So that's a big drop, and rightfully so. They both lost big, devastating wins, or losses, my fault. But the top 4 doesn't surprise me. Clemson comes into NC State, beats NC State. They deserve to be in the top 4. Notre Dame, we're going to learn a lot about them, and as well as Miami, who's ranked 7th this week, because those two teams play each other 8:30 on ABC. That's a must-watch. If you're a big college football fan, watch that game. Winner's going to be a top 4 seed. Loser's going to be in the outside looking in, from my opinion. That's what it looks like, unless bearing any losses or setbacks. Georgia, rightfully so, should be number 1. Like I said last week, their resume is just better than Alabama. Alabama may beat a better team, but Georgia's resume is just stacks up better. And we'll see more about Georgia and Alabama when they, bearing no losses, playing, if they both can survive Auburn and then play each other in the SEC title game. Winner will probably be in the college football playoff. Loser will probably be outside looking in, like I said about Notre Dame and Miami, bearing no losses or upsets. Oklahoma ranked 5, rightfully so. They had a big win against Oklahoma State, so now they're a top 5 team. And once Notre Dame or Georgia and Alabama, once they all get that settled out, Oklahoma can be the 4th team that's in. But this week, though, they have to beat TCU, though, because Oklahoma and TCU, the ranked 5 team and the ranked 6 team, go at it this week. So that's going to be another game of the week. We have some great games in college football right now. And then continuing with the top 10, you have Auburn. Auburn could be the first 2-loss team to make the college football playoff, depending on what happens with the other teams. If they defeat Georgia this week and defeat Alabama to end the season, who knows? Maybe we might see Auburn as the top 4 team. It's crazy to think about, but all they are is just 2 wins away and a couple losses, and we could see our first 2-loss team in the college football playoff, which would be very impressive. But again, some games to watch this week. You got Oklahoma and TCU. Winner pretty much gets another statement, makes another statement for that top 4 seed. You have Notre Dame, which I already talked about, taking on Miami in Miami. It's going to be a tough game. Winner's going to be a top 4 team. Loser's going to be on the outside looking in. Georgia and Alabama. Georgia got a tough week this week with Auburn. If they can survive and beat Auburn, their resume looks even better. Same with Alabama later in the season. But here's the question I have to all my listeners watching and to all my viewers watching. I have a poll again on Twitter. It is, will a Big Ten team make the college football playoff? And again, feel free to vote, check it out. A lot of people are saying no. And I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't going to be a Big Ten team in the playoff. The Big Ten team right now that everyone's rooting for, if you're a Big Ten fan, is Wisconsin. Right now they're undefeated, but they haven't really played anybody yet. They're not going to really have a tough test until the Big Ten championship game, where they face either Michigan State, Michigan's been pretty bad, Ohio State, or Penn State. And since Ohio State beat Penn State head-to-head, Ohio State's going to be ahead. But anyway, if Ohio State or one of those 3 teams defeats Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game, we will not see a Big Ten team in the college football playoff. Ohio State does not deserve it anymore. They beat Penn State, who was ranked 2nd, but Penn State just lost to Michigan State. How, like, does that win look even bigger now? No, it looks weaker now. And they also they got blown out by Iowa. The score was 50-something to 20. Like, that does not look good. And Iowa's not even ranked. That does not look good on your resume. That does not look good at all if you're an Ohio State fan. And if you're a Penn State fan, you lose to Ohio State at home, and then you lose not at home, on the road. And then you lose another tough road game against Michigan State. You have 2 losses now. Yes, there were 2 good opponents, but you have 2 losses now. And Ohio State is always going to be put ahead of you because of the head-to-head success. So now, will you make the college football playoff? Probably not. That leads Michigan State. Michigan State is 7-2. So if you're a Big Ten fan, if you're rooting for a team to get into the college football playoff for your and represent your conference, you got to go with Wisconsin. They're undefeated, and let's hope that they stay undefeated, because if they get 1 loss with their resume, they do not look like a top 4 college playoff team. So again, that's just something to look forward to. Very, 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 very exciting, affiliating college football season we have this year. We have the top 4 that deserve to be in the top 4. I agree with the top 10 in this rankings very, very strongly. Washington's 8-1. They should be 9th. They had a tough loss. Miami's undefeated. Same with Wisconsin. They're both undefeated, but they haven't proven anything yet, and they get a chance to prove. They get a chance to prove themselves later in the season. So that's why they're ranked 7th and 8th right now. And then you got Oklahoma and TCU with that big showdown coming up with this week, and winner pretty much gets a top 4 seed and the Big 12 title. That's going to be pretty. That's a pretty exciting game to watch. If you're a college football fan, you are excited with this week's of games. This week's slate of games. You have Notre Dame, Miami, Oklahoma, TCU, just so on and so forth. And that's just something to look forward to. But I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to go back to the music. Again, if you have your opinions on the college football playoff, feel free to DM. Check out my Twitter, Instagram, at Sanchez, SANN_CHEZZ on Instagram. And on Twitter, it's 3 Z's. So we're going to take a break. We're going to listen to some music. And I hope you guys enjoy. Now, moving on to Swoop Radio's next topic. Breaking news that happened earlier this week. Devastating news, my fault. Roy Halladay, the 2-time Cy Young Award winner, he won once for the Toronto Blue Jays and once for the Philadelphia Phillies, passed away on Tuesday this week in a plane crash. He loves to fly. He just got his flying license. My fault. Sorry, guys. He just got his flying license a couple weeks ago. He loves to fly on his free time. He loves to be in planes. And it's just a tough loss. He was only 40 years old, and just the man he is. 40 years old, has a couple kids, married, couple kids. He has been nothing but an amazing athlete, workaholic, and it's just amazing. I'm going to go through his stats real quick, and then I'm going to pay more tribute to Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay made his debut in 1998, 21 years old for the Toronto Blue Jays. He went, in his rookie year, he started 2 times, 14 innings pitched, had an ERA of 1.93. As the years went by, Roy Halladay had a little bump when he was 23 years old, had a little struggle. He had the highest ERA in MLB history. He had an ERA over 10 when he was 23 years old for the Toronto Blue Jays. And this is the perfect example of how hard of a worker Roy Halladay was. He went from being one of the worst pitchers in baseball to one of the best. He ended up going that next season after an ERA over 10. He ended up lowering his ERA to 3.16. Then in 2002, he became a 19-game winner. Then in 2003, he won over 20 games and won the Cy Young. So again, just 2 years ago, 2 years prior to his Cy Young year, he had an ERA over 10. If that doesn't show how hard of a worker Roy Halladay is, then I don't know what else will. He goes from being one of the worst to the best pitcher in baseball. He is an 8-time Cy Young Award winner. He has over 200 career wins in MLB history. And in modern day baseball, if you get a pitcher that wins over 200 wins, I know it used to be 300 wins, but if you get over 200 wins, that is a Hall of Fame resume right there. That is the new standard for the MLB Hall of Fame. Winning 2 Cy Youngs, 8-time All-Star. Roy Halladay should be a Hall of Famer without a doubt in the next up-and-coming years. He also threw the second no-hitter in postseason history in 2010 against the Cincinnati Reds when the Phillies swept the Reds that year. They ended up eventually losing to the Giants. We all know that. But I also got a personal experience with Roy Halladay. I saw Roy Halladay pitch live on numerous occasions during the 2011 season as well as the 2010 season. And this guy was just a hard worker. He led by example. Cole Hamels said it best in his post-game speech about Roy Halladay and all the impact he had. He said Roy Halladay was more than just a pitcher. He was a leader. He led by example. He was a man of few words. He would not say, he was not the vocal leader on the team, but he was always the guy that led by example. The guy that a coach would say, you got to be like this guy. You got to be like Roy Halladay when he pitches. Everything is the way how he acts, the way how he feels. He's just focused on everything. He's a perfectionist. He can go 9 shutout innings and allow just 2 hits, but he'll talk about the 2 hits and how he needs to improve on those 2 hits. That's just how much of a hard worker Roy Halladay was. And he was just an icon in Philly pitching history as well as sports history in the early 2000s to the until today. Roy Halladay, again, had over 200 wins, 2 Cy Young Award winners. He had 2 seasons of over 20-plus wins. That is highly impressive in this modern-day baseball because with modern-day baseball now, pitchers only throw about 32, 33 games a season. And if you get over 20 wins, you're winning pretty much way more than half of your starts, which is highly impressive in the MLB. Only the elite pitchers get to that level. And again, his postseason excellence with the Phillies was spot on. He had a no-hitter in postseason history. He won a couple starts against the St. Louis Cardinals, the game I went to where Ryan Howard hit a 3-run homer. Roy Halladay went 7 innings that game, stellar innings. He did allow 3 runs, but he was still stellar in that game. And in Game 5, even when we lost to the St. Louis Cardinals 1-0, heartbreaking loss in Phillies history. That was pretty much the game that ended the Phillies' run. But anyway, Roy Halladay only gave up 1 run in the first inning and matched Chris Carpenter frame for frame. And he threw a complete game that game, or close to a complete game that game. And it just shows you how hard of a worker Roy Halladay was, how great of a man he was, married, having a couple kids. He was taking, just weeks prior to his accident, he was taking young teenagers out on his plane, and they were flying, and they were all smiles and all giggles. And it's just amazing and shocking. Amazing how much of a man he was, but it's just so devastating that he died so young. He was only 40 years old. And it's just tough. He played 12 seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he played 4 seasons with the Philadelphia Phillies. Both teams should play tribute to Roy Halladay at some point in the season, and I'm going to try and get my ticket to go to the game. I recommend everyone else getting tickets to honor Roy Halladay. He's definitely one of the, even though his run was short in Philadelphia, he was definitely one of the best Philadelphia pitchers in Philadelphia history. Yes, it was only 4 years, but his first 2 years he won 21 games and 19 games. And the way how he talked about the city of Philadelphia when he retired and how he felt honored to play for such an amazing city. If that doesn't show you how great of a character and how great of a man Roy Halladay is, then I don't know what else is going to show and prove you otherwise. But again, Roy Halladay was nothing but spectacular in Philly sports as well as Toronto sports history, and as well, and what the impact he made for the game. A lot of pitchers, today's pitchers, looked up to Roy Halladay as that leader, that perfectionist mentality that a lot of pitchers lack. But again, that concludes Swoop Radio's tribute to Roy Halladay. Again, for those who do not know who Roy Halladay is, I'll do a little recap before we wrap this up. Roy Halladay, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 8-time All-Star, had 2 seasons of over 20-plus wins. He led the league in ERA numerous times in the season. He is a Hall of Famer pitcher. He died devastatingly and died too young at 40 years old in a plane crash. But again, we're going to take a break. We're going to listen to some music, and I hope you guys enjoy. And again, salute to Roy Halladay for his excellence. My thoughts and prayers are to his family and to everyone that he made an impact on in his life. So again, we're going to take a quick break. I hope you guys enjoy the music, and we're going to talk about the NBA next. So I hope you guys enjoy. And we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed the music, sat down and just had to marvel at Roy Halladay's excellent career and just think about it. Just talking about it, it gets me a little bit emotional, and it's hard to describe the heartbreaking of Roy Halladay. But we got to move on, and we're going to talk about our next topic. We're going to switch gears again. We started off with the show talking about the NFL, more specifically to Week 9 and Week 10 predictions as well as recaps. And then we moved on to college football and what happened last week in college football and now in the rankings of college football. Then we did a little tribute to Roy Halladay, and now the show takes another gear to the NBA, and we are seeing the Boston Celtics, after starting 0-2, have now won 10 straight games. And a lot of people that were criticizing Kyrie Irving's leadership and Kyrie Irving in general, he's scored the most points in franchise history, in Boston Celtic history, for most points scored in their first 12 games. Kyrie Irving has been stellar this season. He hasn't been like the 20-10 guy a lot of people are talked about, but he's leading the Celtics. He hits the shots he hits clutch shots when it matters most, and he had 35 points the other night. They beat a tough Los Angeles Lakers team that is on the rise this season, shockingly, surprisingly, and they're now 10-2 instead of top of the Eastern Conference. And you can tell the Cavaliers miss Kyrie Irving in the early part of the season. You can see it. The Cavaliers are not as dominant without Kyrie as they are with Kyrie. You can see the difference in the team. LeBron has to do a lot more. And LeBron is having another great season like he always does. But now we're going to switch a little gears here, and we're going to talk about the early standouts of the NBA, the young NBA season, because there's been a lot. You can go from the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, dropping over 30 a night, and he's been nothing but spectacular. You can go recently to Kristaps Porzingis, who has been on fire for New York. Yeah, New York lost last night, but Porzingis didn't play. Porzingis looks unstoppable out there. No one can guard that 7-footer that can shoot threes and can just posterize defenders. And for those who did not see the video of him blocking Zeller's shot 3 times, again, check it out on Twitter, check it out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That block, those 3 blocks Kristaps Porzingis had, has just been nothing but amazing. And the Knicks are 6-5. The New York Knicks have a better record than the Oklahoma City Thunder. So is the problem really Carmelo Anthony? That's a question that Knicks fans as well as NBA fans should start thinking. Carmelo Anthony goes to the Thunder. The Thunder are below 500. They just lost to the Kings the other night in an awful performance. And then here you have the New York Knicks, who were garbage last year with Carmelo Anthony. They're 6-5. And Kristaps Porzingis has been nothing but spectacular this season. He's averaging over 30 points a game, and he's definitely in the MVP conversation. If the season ended today, he would be top 5 in MVP voting, and rightfully so. He deserves it. The Knicks are 6-5 coming in. Who would have thought the Knicks would have been 6-5 to start off the season? I know I wouldn't have. The New York Knicks have been surprising this season. You can go to James Harden. James Harden just put up over 50 points the other day against the Utah Jazz. James Harden has looked amazing with Chris Paul being out. But I already knew coming. James Harden didn't really surprise me as much, but I had to give him a shout out though because he put over 50 points against the team. Whenever you put up over 50, that is amazing. But I knew coming in that James Harden was going to still ball out and still put up the numbers he did last season. I just have questions on Chris Paul. If you're a Rockets fan, you got to be worried about Chris Paul. How is he going to fit into the offense? He hasn't been healthy, and when he has been healthy, it doesn't seem like he's in the flow of the offense. Like, when someone's in the flow. Klay Thompson last year was not in the flow of the Golden State Warriors offense last year. But now you can see he's in the flow this year. He's taking shots now. He's making more shots. He's not as hesitant when he shoots the ball. So that's the question I have with Chris Paul. But anyway, continuing with the topic. Damian Lillard's been pretty solid this year. Bradley Beal has been solid this year. LeBron James, like usual, has been spectacular this year. Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins have been the best 1-2 punch in the NBA this season. All they need is just some shooters around them. And it was a crazy stat I saw on ESPN. When Davis and Cousins are on the floor, New Orleans is plus 11. When one person's on the bench and one person's on the floor, New Orleans is minus. And then when both are out, they're minus over 11 points. That just shows you the impact those two have. New Orleans need to surround them two big men with better talent, because the talent they have right now is not getting the job done. If you're a New Orleans Pelicans fan, you should be frustrated with the way how the help around Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. And he had a whole offseason to improve that, and they did not do that. Again, moving on. You have Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant being a dominant 1-2 punch that we saw in the NBA Finals. It's like their playoff performance is carrying off of this season. Kevin Durant may be out now for a little bit, but he'll be back, and he'll be back into the swing of things. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been stellar this season. We knew that they were going to be good, well, better than what they were last year, but we didn't think they were going to be this good, especially the league. Because we all know what happens when you put a bunch of talent on one team. It takes time for them to gel together, especially young talent. Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Jimmy Butler, and Jeff Teague have all been playing great together. Even though, they got blown out by Golden State last night, they're still above 500, and they had their first 5-game win streak since the early 2000s. If you're a Timberwolves fan, you're excited. We haven't been in the playoffs since 2004. Imagine if you're a fan on any of your team, and your team has not made the postseason since 2004. Are you still even a fan for that team anymore? It's just amazing what the Timberwolves are doing this season. The 76ers as well. After starting the season off 1-4, they have now won 5 straight. And they play the Kings tonight. They should win 6 straight tonight. Ben Simmons has 2 triple-doubles. He is clearly the Rookie of the Year if the season ended today. Without a doubt, he has been the best rookie in the NBA this year. And this rookie class has been really good. De'Aaron Fox has been good. Dennis Smith Jr. just put up 22, 8, and 8 the other day against the Washington Wizards when the Mavericks got their second win. There's so many rookies to talk about. And this rookie class has been way better than last year's rookie class. Last year's rookie class was pretty bad. The fact that you had a second-round pick win Rookie of the Year, and I believe that is the first. Brogdon is the first rookie second-round pick to ever win Rookie of the Year. That's just showing something that your first-round picks are weak. Had a weak rookie season. But anyway, this rookie class has been nothing but exciting. So all those rookies are I'm giving a shout out for their excellence. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons have been a new and upcoming 1-2 punch in the NBA. The league needs to watch out for them too. John Wall has been solid this year. He is again over 20 and 10 like he usually does. He just has to get that shooting percentage right, and he'll be fine. Paul George, Carmelo, Russell Westbrook, they've all been solid, but you can tell they need to get their chemistry right, because Oklahoma City has been one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA so far this season. But again, the next segment, I'm going to talk about a specific rookie, and it's going to lead to Sanchez's final word. For those who do not know what Sanchez's final word is, each week I just started this last week, I make a final statement to wrap up my show, and it's a bold statement. For those who missed it last week, I talked about how Ben Simmons is going to be the next LeBron James, and I explained why based off a body of work. But after we take a quick break, listen to some music, you're going to be surprised on what I say about my final word this week. And if I'm going to post a video on Instagram, Twitter, on all my social media. If you guys want to comment below, you're more than welcome to voice your opinions. But I just wanted to say that real quick. I had to get a little off topic, but I'm going to wrap up this topic with a couple more standouts this year. Aaron Gordon has been good this year. He dropped over 40 points for the Magic the other day, a couple weeks ago. LaMarcus Aldridge has been good for the Spurs, some guys to look out for. Devin Booker has been good, even though his team is not winning. He's been putting up over 30 points a night. Well, he put up over 30 last night. Again, Vucevic, the Magic have been a big surprise this year. The Detroit Pistons have been a surprise this year, going 8-3. The Magic are also 7-3, 7-4. This NBA season has been very surprising because coming in, we already knew who the final teams were going to be. The Cavs, the Warriors. You're going to have the Rockets in the mix, the Spurs, the Thunder maybe. But this season, we've seen a lot of young talent, especially in the Eastern Conference, take that next step forward. Victor Oladipo has been putting up close to over 30 a night. Kristaps Porzingis is putting over 30 a night. Antetokounmpo has emerged as the next up-and-coming superstar. Ben Simmons and Embiid are showing that they're going to be the next dominant 1-2 combo in the NBA. It's just amazing what the NBA is turning to. We have a lot of young talent. And finally, a lot of people criticize the competition of the Eastern Conference. But if these young guys can stay consistent and ball out, the Eastern Conference is going to turn into a very tough conference. Just give it a couple years for the players to develop. And you have the Sixers up and coming. The Cavs are starting to decline. They're the oldest team in the NBA. But with LeBron James, you're still always going to win with LeBron James on your team. But it's just something to look forward to as the season goes. The Cavs are now 5-6. They're 5-2 against playoff teams last year, but they're 0-4 against non-playoff teams from last year, and that's due to the new and up-and-coming young talent that has been proving themselves out there. So again, it's just something to look forward to, something to listen to. But we're going to take a quick break. Next, we're going to wrap up Swoop Radio with DJ Sanchez's final word. So I hope you guys continue to listen to Swoop Radio. I know I've been all by myself this show, but the show keeps on rolling. So we're going to play a couple songs, and I hope you guys enjoy. And now it's time for the final segment of Swoop Radio today. And it's called DJ Sanchez's final words, my last statement, my bold statement for just in general. All right, here we go. Let's get going. So here we go. Lonzo Ball. The rookie Lonzo Ball has been probably one of the most hyped rookies in NBA history. And I've watched this guy play. I saw his high school highlights. I've watched him play UCLA ball. And despite his early season struggles, I believe Lonzo Ball is going to be the next big point guard. And here's why. The next big thing. Here's why Lonzo Ball is going to be the next big thing. Right now, yes, his stats might not prove it, but the way how he pushes the pace of the game and the way how he leads his teammates, coming in with the first 11 games of the season, coming into the season, do you really think, were you going to sit here and tell me that the Lakers are going to win 5 games? No. The Los Angeles Lakers have already improved, have already shown that they're a good, solid team. And give Lonzo Ball some time. Lonzo Ball is going to be the next big thing in the NBA. Yes, he only averages under 10 points a game, but he averages just about 6 assists and 6 rebounds a game. And a lot of his assists, he should have a lot more assists, but his team misses a lot of layups and stuff like that. Yeah, his shooting percentage is under 30%. It's the worst in the NBA, but he's only played 11 games into the season, and people are already calling him a bust. Jason Kidd's already calling his comparison to him a stretch when they pretty much have identical numbers. Yeah, Jason Kidd attacked the basket more when he was younger, but the numbers are pretty much identical. We have other insiders and sports reporters saying that he's a bust, calling him a bust. I understand the hype, but it takes people time to dominate. It takes people time to live up to those expectations. Lonzo Ball knows he can shoot a lot better. He even said it's all mental. All the talk of everybody is getting into his head. But once Lonzo Ball starts to get consistency and starts to dominate the game like I know he knows how to, he shot over 70% at UCLA, drives into the lane and stuff like that, and shot over 40% from three. I understand the NBA three-point line's a little bit longer, but Lonzo Ball can become that 50% shooter from the field and 30% behind the arc, beyond 30%, possibly 40%. Just give this guy time. He will be the next big thing. He will be the next Jason Kidd, the next Steve Nash. He will be the next big kid. Mark my words. I will say it again. Lonzo Ball is going to be something special in the NBA. And a lot of people need to stop doubting this guy already when he's just 11 games into his career. Again, Lakers play tonight against the Washington Wizards. I suggest you guys watch the game. Lonzo Ball has been a lot more aggressive lately, shooting over 15 shots a game. It's a good sign. Lonzo Ball is going to be something special in this league. So again, that concludes DJ Sanchez's final words. If you guys have any disagreements, feel free to hit up my social media. And again, thank you to my viewers and listeners listening to this show. It marks another good week. And within the next hour, we're going to hear Ezekiel Elliott's case and what is going to be next for the Cowboys. So that's something, again, for you guys to look forward to. But Swoop Radio airs Thursdays 1 to 3. Again, I will repeat, Thursdays 1 to 3. Show friends, family. Check out my social media page. Check out Swoop Podcast on YouTube. For those who are going to miss the show, I will provide a video podcast up there. So for those who missed some parts of the show and want to get back to all the parts, it's going to be, the full show is going to be on YouTube. So again, I hope you guys enjoy. Have a good weekend. And this is Josh signing off. Swoop!